Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're tuning in for the first time, thank you for stopping by. I'm going to be talking about a topic today that I see a lot of online. Does your car need more power? And in this case, more specifically related to the M2. Does the M2, the base non-competition M2, need more power? So first let me go over some quick numbers for the M2. The M2 has 365 horsepower. And the torque, I'll have on the screen, I never remember the torque number on this car, ever. 365 horsepower. Nowadays is really not that much when you compare it to a lot of other cars on the road. So the question really comes up with the M2 because this car right here, the base M2, has the N55 engine. It does not have an S-designated motor like the M2 Competition or the M3s, M4s, whereas those have the S55. This one only has the N55. So the big question is this kind of an M car? Does it have enough power? Is it proper? I think this car has plenty of power for what it is. And I think in general, as a car community, we have to stop chasing the number. So I think the danger of chasing more power becomes that you lose sight of what the car's purpose is. Like, what was it designed to do? Why did they make a specific car with a specific amount of power? Why does this car only have 365 horsepower? The M2 is perfectly fine where it is at 365 horsepower, and it does not need more power. It absolutely is a true proper M car. So let me kind of go into a little bit of the details of my thought process here. So with the M cars, every M car kind of fits a niche, it fits a purpose. And I think it becomes very easy to lose sight of that. So the M3 is kind of an all-around kind of sedan slash coupe, just kind of well put together machine, very, very fast in a straight line. It works very well in corners, very tight, good handling, you know, just the kind of the baseline for M cars. Then you go up in scale, so then you have like the M5, the M6, which are the luxury M's. Those are the ones where you can kind of kick your feet up and just rocket down the highway at ridiculous speeds. That is the purpose of like the M5 or the M6. And then you have the M2. And the M2 is not really what I would call a rocket ship. It is absolutely an incredibly fast car. It's got a lot of kick. It's absolutely fun to drive. But on the highway, I would not go as far as to say it's an absolute rocket ship. It's not its purpose. Its purpose is, and I'm gonna get a GoPro soon so I can actually record this kind of stuff, but right now I have a bunch of windy roads. These kinds of roads that are kind of windy, twisty, there's a little bit of hills, there's the kind of sharp turns. Those are the roads where this car shines. You kind of really get that tight handling in those corners. You can kind of thrash it around, throw it around, get the back end out. And that's really the purpose of the M2. The whole point is to have a well-balanced car. And as is, this car is very well balanced for what it is, what its purpose is, this little niche that it kind of fits in the little M category. And if you just keep adding more power to it, it kind of defeats the purpose. Like, sure, you can turn this car into an absolute rocket ship, but why? What's the point? It doesn't fit that purpose. There's no luxury features in this car, really. I mean, I'm happy I have a heated steering wheel and heated seats in this car. You have Bluetooth. This one doesn't even have Apple CarPlay. This is meant to be that kind of driver's car, as they say. You know, you take it for those windy roads like this. You kind of dip it down the hills and up around the bends and all that stuff. That's what it's for. You're not meant to focus on all this stuff. If you turn it into rocket ship, you can't use that rocket ship on these roads. It just doesn't work. It has too much power. You're never going to use all that power, ever. The only place you can use that power is either on a racetrack or on the highway, unless you live in the absolute middle of nowhere, in which case, okay, fine, you can use it. But for the average person, you're probably only really ever going to be able to use that kind of power on the highway. And even then, you can't use it because even this car, the issue is when you put your foot down very, very quickly, you will get to 60, 65, and then anything over that, you're at illegal speeds. If you have a car that has even more power, what's the point? You can't use it. And even say you're cruising at 100, 110 miles an hour on the highway, you're literally just like this. You're just cruising in a straight line. That's it. There's no engagement, there's nothing. There's no shifting gears at that point anymore. You're already in the max gear. What are you gonna do? You're gonna try to focus on the luxury features. You're gonna maybe touch the radio, maybe look around a little bit. And then you start focusing on the little luxury aspects of it that the M5, the M6 were built for. So, no, I don't think the M2 needs more power. There's just no point to it. The car has plenty of power as it is. 365 horsepower on a normal street is a ridiculous amount of power. And I think in general, we've all become just so desensitized to power that we look at 300 horsepower now and think, meh, it's like a new Camry now. You know, like no one cares. Now people want the 500, the 600 horsepower. It's like, when are you ever going to use that kind of power? You just can't. I'm on a back road right now, a residential, not a full residential, but close enough. I'm traveling just 40 cruising, and I can't go any faster than this, realistically. Sure, I may be able to squeeze out an extra couple miles per hour, maybe push 50, fine. You really can't have fun with the car once you get out of second gear, or once you get near the top of second. That's it. You can't do any more with the car. So this car, for those windy roads where you're never going to hit 100 miles an hour, where you're never going to be cruising at highway speeds, that's where this car shines. So I absolutely don't think that this car needs any more power. Now, of course, if you want to build an absolute track machine, build that power, fine-tune the brakes, the suspension, get everything dialed in to really make a more powerful, well-balanced car, sure. But again, you're never going to use it. Even on back roads, when I rip it, around the windy turns, I'm hardly ever using full throttle, because when you go full throttle, you still just go so quickly through that second gear and even third gear that you're already well over the speed limit by the time you're out of second. It's pointless. It's absolutely fun, but it's pointless. You can't realistically do it. That's why I think, yes, it is a proper M car when you consider the niche that this M car fills. It fills that windy back roads, kind of thrash it around, let the rear end loose, just kind of drive it around. No luxury features, none of this fancy stuff. That is where this car shines. So, no, I don't think the M2 needs any more power than it has. I think 365 is fine. If you really want to add a little bit more, maybe just get it to a nice round 400. And I think the M2 competition, I'm assuming it has the same power as the M3, M4, which is, I think, 425 horsepower. So, the S55, sure, that's about as high as you can realistically go in the M2. I think people just love to gatekeep with the BMWs. Like, oh, it's not a proper M car because this, it's not proper because of that. It's not a proper, whatever. The gatekeeping in our BMW community has got to stop. Like, I get it. It's an M car. You want to differentiate it from the regular traffic. I get it. Believe me, I have an obnoxious blue, and I was hell-bent on getting the obnoxious blue that stands out. I get it. But just gatekeeping for sake of gatekeeping, it's just stupid. It's absolutely stupid. Like, sure, if you want to gatekeep a proper M car from, the M Sports, like the M235, M240, etc., sure, fine. Those aren't actual M cars. Everyone knows they're not an M car. They perform absolutely fantastic, and they're not very far from an M car. There is the difference. An M2, it's an M car. It's an M2. It's not meant to be a rocket ship on the highway. It's not meant to have all the luxury bits. It's meant to be a car you thrash around, you whip around on the back roads. That's where it shines. That's its niche. And this car does not need more power. So now I want to talk about this whole issue of chasing more power as a whole in the car community. I think for all the reasons I pretty much stated with the M2, we really have to stop chasing more power and just enjoy the cars as they are for what they are. A car typically will come out of the factory well balanced. It's been engineered to be a certain way. Sure, some things may need to be dialed in a little bit more, but as a whole, a car comes out as like one nice package. You don't need to start messing around with it. You don't need to start adding more power to it. Enjoy the car for what it is. You know, if I keep adding more power, you could lose sight of what the car's for. Maybe it handles extremely well, and if you add more and more power, maybe you'll be throwing that off, and maybe you won't handle as well, and the whole point of that car is kind of gone. Yeah, at this point I'm probably just starting to ramble, but I mean, really, as a car community, you gotta stop just chasing more power. Like, enjoy all the awesome cars that exist. Like, you want to buy a Miata, buy a Miata. The M2, if you want an M5, whatever it is, buy the car and enjoy it for what the car is. So those are my thoughts on the M2 and the whole idea of just chasing more power, more power. This car is perfectly fine, it doesn't need more power. It is a proper M car. It just fits that niche for those windy back roads. That's gonna be it for this video. If you liked it, give me a like. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on the M2 and kind of the N55 versus the S55. Is it a proper M car? Let me know your thoughts on kind of what I said and give me your input. But if you want to see more videos, subscribe. If not, thank you so much for stopping by. Until next time.